Now, of course, this is the great time to update any scheduling and billing software that you might have. So this is all related to notifications for parents. Most of you, I hope, are on automated monthly billing and have factored in the fact that you'll be taking a break at some stage during the year. So you shouldn't have to spend lots of time changing things. It's more that we just notify and remind parents and adult students that we're going to be away, and please avoid contacting if at all possible. Hi listeners, it's Tim, and in today's episode we're responding to a question from one of our members about how I tend to unplug on holidays. She'd realised that I'd gone away at the start of 2022 and taken a complete break, and I'd been talking about it in our forums and in some videos, and she wanted to know more. If you've ever wondered about the best way to actually give yourself true rest and recuperation and recovery from busy, stressful times running your business and your studio, then this is the episode that I hope you listen to today and come back to again and again as a reminder before you go away on holiday. And we've actually put together a freebie. We've got a 9 steps checklist that is going to help all music teachers prepare for an extended break. And you can download that at our show notes for this episode, which is at topmusic.co/episode 279. Before we dive in today, I wanted to let you know about our free blues teaching guide. It's over at topmusic.co/blues. And if you haven't ever taught the blues from scratch, then I really encourage you to give it a try. It's super easy, and I give you the step-by-step information you need, including a lesson plan, how to actually teach the student about the chord progressions, and I introduce you to an app that I use to make playing along with a backing track super simple. It's called iReal Pro. You may have heard me talk about it in the past. We also uncover in this article about the two roles of the jazz pianist. Firstly, the comping role and also the improvisationary role. We talk about the chord progression, and then we also talk about the improv. It's so much fun. Your students will love it, particularly if you're taking on a transfer student. It's just such a fun activity that you can do to get them engaged and involved. And there's a download that comes with it. You can also see me at the piano teaching that first blues lesson. Just head over to topmusic.co/blues for all the free details. And speaking about watching me teach, we've got some amazing teaching demonstrations in the Academy demos. Is that an Aussie word? I'm not sure. We've got over 25 demonstrations from me and also other teachers about how we teach various things in our studio. So you can be a fly on the wall watching me teach my students a variety of things. And it's not all about pop, chords, and improvisation. There's me teaching about scales, chords, arpeggios, and teaching standard repertoire. And along with that, we've of course got our piece by piece series. This is our intermediate historical repertoire series where the amazing Jana Williamson teaches you sitting at the piano 2 different pieces every month in our academy and provides you with a download, 1-page download of the teaching points in that video. So you get to watch her side on over the top of her hands, explain exactly how to teach each piece of music, and also a little bit about the composer and the background and why we phrase and interpret things the way we do, and whether you should trill from the top note or the lower note, and all those little intricacies that we often wonder and question ourselves. So all of these teaching demonstrations are all in our Top Music Pro Academy, and you can access that on our studio plan. Just head over to topmusicpro.com. So over January, I managed to get 6 weeks completely free of work. And really, since I started this business, and particularly the membership in 2016, that has never happened. And I have to say a big thank you to my head of operations here at Top Music, the wonderful Emily Laney, for pushing me to make sure I do this properly and giving me some pointers, which I'm going to share with you today. It is super hard for any entrepreneur or small business owner to really disconnect, and you really have to work at it and make a conscious decision to do this, because your business is your life, and no matter what you're doing, showering, walking, on the toilet, you're probably thinking about your studio, or you're thinking about your students. What do they need? How could you teach them better? What music should Caroline have at her next lesson? And I forgot to give Billy his the right scales, and oh my goodness, have I checked what exam pieces they need to learn? All these things go through our head all the time because we're incredibly passionate about what we do and how much help we give to our students. So how do you switch all of that off when you need to recharge. Well, that's what we're talking about today. And this was actually all... And this episode crystallized out of an email I received from one of our members. And let me read it to you. I wonder if you felt the same way. She said, I've been very blessed that I've managed to maintain my students, but yes, it's been hard. If there isn't one already, I'd love to listen to a podcast about how to take a break. I know it seems simple, but how? How do you not sit there relaxing, in inverted commas, stressing about all the emails and phone calls you'll have to return to once you get back? If you have a break during the term, how do you guarantee everything keeps running? I struggle with switching off and giving myself a break and would love to hear from someone like-minded. Good for you for taking a break, and all the best to your wonderful team. So thank you very much to Christine, who sent that in and made me think about how I should frame this podcast to hopefully answer those questions. And I'll say right from the top, I am the worst at switching off. And I think this is what Emily knew. She knew I needed some help. And so what we've done is we've put together a 9-step checklist, which I'm going to talk you through now. And you can also download a copy of this to keep by your computer or on your hard disk or whatever it is, in order that every time you're about to plan for a holiday, you can get out this checklist and check off the steps to make sure that you're going to be able to have the most relaxing time possible. If you'd like a copy of that, then head over to topmusic.co/episode 279 and you'll be able to download it there. We'll also have it for all our members inside our academy. So what are 9 steps that I recommend any teacher takes in order to really unplug during their break? Well, the first thing I want you to do is write down what you're going to do to disconnect. What are your holiday activities? What are you going to be spending your time doing on the ultimate holiday? Because what you might find is if you don't have activities planned, you might get bored and be tempted to check those emails and social media channels and whatever else it is. And so when I was thinking about this for myself, I'm a passionate cyclist. I really enjoy cycling, but I don't get a chance to drive out of town and ride in different places. I tend to either ride my stationary bike at home or I'll go locally. So one of the things I really wanted to do was head out on long bike rides, maybe even an overnight ride. As long as my family was going to cope without me, I could go and stay somewhere and ride or climb a mountain or do something on my bike that I perhaps wouldn't normally do. So what is it that you're going to spend your time doing? You might be an avid book reader and have a stack of books that you've just been itching to get through. Maybe you're a drawer, or perhaps you knit or crochet, or maybe you are wanting to build a video game. I'm not sure what it is, but whatever it is, I want you to write it down. And we've actually given you space to do this on your check sheet. So do that. And we've also got a link to Michael Hyatt's Vacation Optimizer, which is a great guide for the kinds of questions you might like to ask yourself. And you can download that from his website. But just make sure you've got a really clear idea of when you finish your holiday and look back on it, some of those things that you want to have done. Maybe it's simply lie in bed and watch a whole series of Netflix for 10 hours. Like whatever it is, this is your time. You need to do what you most want to do. So that's step 1. Step 2, before you go, I want you to get your inbox to 0. And later in the guide, we're going to be making sure your emails are auto-archived so you don't come back to hundreds of them. But the best place to start and to therefore come back to is 0. So that's where we're going to be beginning now. So I want you to make time before you go away, even if it's going to take you an hour, to go through and be ruthless with your emails. Unsubscribe from newsletters and notifications that you don't need. Delete emails that you have left unread because you think you're going to come back to them, but you're really not. Make the time to clear things out. And just on that whole marking unread thing, if you're the kind of person who gets emails in of a day and then just marks them unread. So let's say you get it in, you read it and you're like, oh, I better do something about that later on. So you mark it as unread so it stays bold in your inbox because you need to action it again in the future. Then I want you to watch my presentation on business productivity. It's inside our Top Music Pro membership. I'll put a link to it in the show notes, where I demonstrate one of my biggest productivity hack apps, and it's called Active Inbox for Gmail. If you're a Gmail user and you don't have Active Inbox, I strongly encourage you to check it out. It allows you to create tasks from emails. It allows you to schedule an email to pop back into the top of your inbox on the day that you need to action it. It allows you to schedule emails to send. It'll allow you to set reminders if people don't respond to your emails to email them again. This is a great app, and it's it's under $100 a year to plug this into Gmail. So check that out. And if you're a Top Music Pro member, you can access that presentation where I actually demonstrate it and show you how I use it and what it does. So that was step 2, get your inbox to 0. All right, now step 3, we're going to keep your inbox at 0 while you're away. All right, you're going to have to bear with me here because I really struggled with this, but I'm so glad I did it. So what we're going to do is we're going to set Gmail or Outlook to auto-archive all your incoming emails. And this is a trick that Emily showed me, and she learned it from Michael Hyatt as well. It's really important, and we'll give you the steps in our checklist of how to do this. It's really easy. You don't want a full inbox when you return. So when you auto-archive, it doesn't delete all your emails, because if you go to the all email section of Gmail, you'll be able to go back and search if you must find something. But what it means is it ensures when you get back that your inbox is 0. And I can't tell you how important that is and how satisfying it is, because not only do you know all through your holiday that you're not going to come back and have to answer emails, but you know that when you do get back, you can get on to more important things. You don't want to be going through a whole lot of emails. So we're going to show you how to set up an auto response so that people know to not expect a response from you and that you're not going to be checking any emails that have been sent. And all I say is if it's urgent, then speak to one of my members of my team. And if it's not urgent and can wait and you need me to action it, then send it after this date when I'll be back in the office. Now, I realize that not all of you will have an admin assistant or other team members that could do this for you. So just putting on a auto response to say you're not going to be checking these emails and people will just have to send you an email when you get back is okay. There's nothing really that's too important that's going to be sent by email that has to be actioned right then and there while you're on holiday. If something really important's happening, someone's going to message you or call you. Chances are. All right, so we've got your inbox to 0 and we're going to keep it there in step 3. Remember to download the checklist for the steps on how to do that. Now, step 4, we're going to turn off email notifications on your phone. In fact, we're going to turn off any work notifications you might be getting. If you use WhatsApp or Slack or however you communicate with parents or your team, if you can turn it off, turn it off. I also realize that many of you will share your phone message, your phone number, so you can message parents. And that's totally fine. As long as you communicate with all your studio parents that you're going away, they shouldn't have any issues with getting in touch with you while you're away. Now, you don't necessarily have to sign out of all your accounts. What I just suggest you do is silence notifications that may interrupt you. So you can do that in the settings area of your phone settings and then turn off notifications for the particular apps that are likely to bother you. And that can also be things like payment notifications or missed payments coming from various software or reminders. Try and turn off as many of those as you can. Okay, now in step 5, we're going to send an email to all your students and parents to let them know. Now, I recommend that you do this during the preceding month almost, or at least 2 weeks before you go. Just remind parents, they'll know that they're not coming in for lessons. So that's a great opportunity just to remind them, hey, I'm not going to be around. Please don't message me or anything like that. We'll organize everything when we get back. I'm just trying to have a complete unplug. Now, of course, this is the great time to update any scheduling and billing software that you might have. So this is all related to notifications for parents. Most of you, I hope, are on automated monthly billing and have factored in the fact that you'll be taking a break at some stage during the year. So you shouldn't have to spend lots of time changing things. It's more that we just notify and remind parents and adult students that we're going to be away, and please avoid contacting if at all possible. All right, that's step 5. Let's head to step number 6. We're going to set up our phone voicemail to alert people to the fact that you're going to be away and when you'll get back, and asking them kindly to not leave a message, just to call you back after the date. A lot of you will do a lot of communication with parents, I expect, over the phone. So, and you will have your phone with you and want to be using it. So you don't want to be getting messages and voicemails and things. So just pop a reminder on there to not leave a message and that you'll be away until X date. Contact me after this date if you've got any questions. And you can also say on there, if you're friends and family, then feel free to leave a message or whatever it is that you want to, of course. All of that would be solved if you had a different phone line for your studio. And I know some people do have this, not necessarily two phones, but it is possible to get a virtual phone line for your studio. You can pay for it online. It's an online service that will then direct anyone that rings that different phone number to your mobile, but it allows you to not be giving out your mobile phone number and does allow you in this kind of case to have some kind of separation when you go away. All right, what are we up to? Number 7, I think. If you do have administrative help, a virtual assistant or a team, and I do encourage all teachers to consider whether some virtual assistant help can be useful to them. It doesn't have to be expensive and it can all be contract based and small amounts of time each week, but it can make a huge difference to your ability to have more time for yourself or more time for your teaching. Obviously, we need to instruct our VAs or our team members on what to do while you're away. So I was very lucky that I had Emily take charge of Top Music, and I knew the company was in great hands with her. You might not have that same option, but oftentimes if you don't have administrative help, then it's because of the size of your business, and it will mean that generally things will probably keep ticking away okay without you because there's not going to be a whole lot going on. While I was away, we did have a number of promotions and things ticking away, which I needed to know were going to continue. I recommend that if you do have team members, you give them a way to contact you in emergencies only. So you might want to use WhatsApp or messages, and that's the way that Emily was able to contact me. She did contact me at one stage during the worst of the COVID outbreak just to let me know how things were going with our team. And she did that by message, and that was totally okay. Now, if you do want help hiring team members, or you want to investigate this idea, where would you go to hire? Where would you go to hire people? How does it work? How do you write a job description? All those kinds of things. Then I do have training on that inside our Top Music Pro Academy. If you remember, and you search for Upwork, you'll be able to find out how I use Upwork and some of the tricks in particular that are really important for finding the right kind of people. And we've had a number of our members, both our studio and our Evolution members, hire team members and have amazing success with that process and that ability to free up time that they would otherwise be spending doing administrative tasks has been life-changing for a number of our members. So I do encourage you to consider that if you have the size and availability and option to do that. All right, step number 8. We're going to set up new student acquisition automation. So if you don't already have this, then we don't want to miss the opportunity for new students to join your studio while you're on holiday. It might be that if you're going away during a summer, then a lot of other people might be unplugging at the same time, and on their list of things they really want to do is learn an instrument. And so they might actually find out about you and want to contact you. So we don't want to stop that happening. I recommend that you've got some kind of sign-up page online and a series of automatic emails that will get sent to people who inquire about lessons. This doesn't mean that this should be something... No. This isn't something that you should only have when you go on holiday, of course. A sign-up page with online automatic emails is a part of new student acquisition that you should have set up for all the time, because you don't want people to have to wait to get an ear. Because you don't want people to have to wait to contact you by the phone, for example. I know some people do like the phone, and it's good to have that as an option, but it's great to have a backup where you can onboard people, which just means get them used to you and your studio and how things work without actually doing anything. You can do it in your sleep. We've got a course on that. It's called Nurturing New Students on Autopilot. It's a comprehensive course created by the amazing Nicola Canton, and it's available inside our academy. And it steps you through that process of how to actually set up an automated system that onboards new people to your studio while you are asleep, or in this case, while you're on holiday. It's so great because you can get back and find you've got 3-4 new people on your waiting list. And they haven't just been sitting there on their waiting list. They've been receiving emails from you explaining how you teach, giving them some ideas for things they can try out while they're waiting from you, some fun little improv activities, some testimonials, and information about when you get back, how excited you're going to be to see them, meet them, and have them in your studio. Step 9, we're going to prepare ourselves. And we're going to prepare ourselves for the come down from the busyness and stress of running your studio to take a few days. It may be even 3 to 5 days or more, depending on how frantic, stressed, or wired you've been in the lead up to unplugging. Avoid the temptation Avoid the temptation during this time to think or do work, but don't don't be hard on yourself if you do wander back in your thoughts to running your business. What I suggest you do, which is what I do, is if your thoughts do return to your business and maybe you've got some things that you suddenly realize you should be doing, just write them down somewhere to get them out of your head and then let your brain relax. It's a little bit like meditating. When we meditate, we want to focus on the breathing in order to calm the mind, but it's so common that thoughts will keep on coming into your head. And so you need to kind of just focus on them momentarily and then gently push them aside. And in this case, I do recommend if there's things that you need to do or great ideas or whatever it is, just write them down and then put them aside so you don't need to worry about it. But do note that in this step 9, do note that it may take a few days for you to start unplugging and feeling more relaxed. It's not going to happen as soon as you step on that plane or as soon as you close your laptop. It will take time. Now, if all of that went a little bit too fast and there's too many steps in the checklist to write it down, then don't worry. Remember, we've got you covered. We've got all of this printed out in a downloadable PDF. Just head over to topmusic.co/episode 279 and you'll be able to download that and use it to your heart's content. So what I want you to do when you next head away on holiday, obviously follow the checklist, but then enjoy whatever it is, whatever hobby it is that you're doing and the time that you're spending with your loved ones and family and children or whatever it is. When you find yourself thinking about work, you've got two options really. Either you go with it or you ignore it. If you're like me, you may find that as your mind gets time to relax, you suddenly get the opportunity to explore more of the bigger picture and get out of the weeds of running your studio. Jim Collins in the book Good to Great would call it getting onto the balcony and being able to look more strategically, looking at the bigger picture of how you fit into the world, how your students link together, how what you're doing could be improved, what new features you could add, all of these kinds of things. And I want you to enjoy the clarity that comes with that sense of getting out of the weeds. And don't feel guilty about thinking about your business if you want to, once you're in that state. And I find this will happen to me after I disconnect for 3 to 5 days or maybe a week. And sometimes I'll get some thoughts. My mind will just be able to make connections that I couldn't see before. And I'll enjoy and relish the chance to actually think on a different level about my business. And that's okay if you're okay with it. And you've got that option, as I said before, to notice it and write it down and let it go. Or if you want to and you have time to and you're keen to, you can engage with that thought process. And maybe make some new plans for things you can do when you get back. It's a really exciting time when you just get that space and allow your brain to unravel itself and enjoy that recharging process. Remember, you come first. Enjoy that holiday and let me know how you go by leaving a comment on the show notes page or any of our social channels. I'd be delighted to know if this has helped you. Well, we've got a webinar coming up in 2 weeks with the wonderful Fred Karpov from Entrada Piano, and it's all about effortless arpeggios right from when we first start introducing these. And if you're someone that believes in a thumb under kind of motion, then I have a feeling that Fred's going to challenge some of those, as he has done for me, because I was very much taught about thumb under. If you're listening to this and going, I don't know what Tim's talking about with thumb under, then never fear, don't worry. We'll be covering all of the steps that you need to teach arpeggios right from the first lessons in the webinar coming up. So stay tuned for that. I'll give you more information in the next episode. And we're also going to be launching a new initiative at that event, which is going to be very exciting. So that's with Fred Karpov, all about technique, particularly looking at arpeggios. I do hope this episode has been helpful for you, and it will be something that you potentially can come back to again and again as you prepare for holidays. Next week on the podcast, we've got a short interview with our wonderful head of guitar, Michael Gumley, all about his recently launched podcast called the Top Music Guitar Podcast, some of the guests he's been having and the discussions he's been enjoying with those guests. We'll see you next time. Thanks again for listening to the Topcast. I'm Tim Topham. I'll speak to you next week. For more information about this episode and to find out how to enhance your own teaching, visit topmusic.co. You'll find everything you need for your studio, from lesson plans to cheat sheets, quick win teaching ideas, and guides on how to build your teaching business. Plus, you'll be connected to a global community of the world's top music teachers. And when you're ready, join hundreds of other teachers around the world by becoming a Top Music Pro member and get access to all our bonus content and flagship courses. And don't forget to follow topmusic.co on social media and subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to it. That's all for today. We'll see you in the studio.